Welcome back to 7 Moons Astrology. I'm Sarah Kirby, and today we're talking about the new moon in Aries. And the new moon in Aries is all about doing new things in new ways and planting seeds and going after your dreams. So in the interest of new things, I would like to introduce you to my new tablet thingy. I'm very excited about this because I love to pull up charts on the screen to share with you as I go ahead and interpret energy so that you can see what the charts look like and what's going on in there. But I did receive some feedback from some of you that it can be pretty challenging to follow along, especially because I talk so fast, but also because there's a lot going on. You might not know what you're looking at. And so if I had a way to point out to you the different energies as I am speaking on them, you'll know where to go in the chart, and it will be a more effective learning tool for understanding how to read astrological charts. And it's actually inspired by a brilliant astrologer that I love here on YouTube. Her name is Wonder Girl Astrology, and that's the name of her channel. Her name is Brittany, and she's just brilliant. I love her. She's such a phenomenally talented astrologer, and she does a similar technique using an iPad. And I would love to be able to do this, but I did not want to spend $600 to $800 on an iPad, so that's where my new tablet thingy comes in. It was only like $50 on Amazon. I'm really excited about it. And I guess it's good for like graphic designers and digital artists as well. But for our purposes, we're going to pull up the chart, and I will be able to point out to you exactly what I'm talking about as we go along. And so that's what we're going to do here today. And then we'll move into a 12-sign forecast for this energy. At which point you should consider looking at the timestamps for this video. You'll be able to skip right ahead to the signs that are of interest to you, and I would recommend that you listen to your big three. So that will be your rising sign first and foremost, followed by your sun, and also the moon sign for your subjective emotional experience. If you listen to all three of those sign forecasts, you will get the most comprehensive, complete picture of what this energy will look and feel like to you in your life. And because this energy is already building, you might already find that some of these things have already played out, and you're definitely in the midst of feeling it, as I will be posting this video right before the new moon. Okay, so pulling up the chart on the screen, we can see that we've got the new moon here happening on April 1st at about 1:24 a.m. Central Standard Time. So for those of you on the West Coast, this will still be occurring on March 31st, but it's in the middle of the night for all of us here. So this is an energy that occurs exactly as we're sleeping, but we've been feeling it as it builds. So what is a new moon in Aries? What are we looking at here? So over here, we've actually got the sun and the moon at 11 degrees in the sign of Aries. When they are at the same degree together, that is a conjunction, and that is what we would call a new moon energy. A new moon is all about a new beginning, planting seeds, and moving forward in a new direction. And in Aries, this energy is certainly really heightened because Aries is the first sign of the zodiac. It is the beginning of the astrological new year. And so it's all about that fresh start, spring energy where we're planting seeds and we're feeling really energized and motivated to move forward in the direction that feels aligned for us and is going to help us meet our goals and realize our goals. Aries is an extremely ambitious energy, and being that it's a cardinal sign, it's all about taking action. Aries fundamentally, because it is the first sign of the zodiac associated with the first house, is about the self. This is all about what you want. It's a time where there's really no such thing as being too selfish. It's about your will and what you desire for reality, the way that you see things. And what's good for you is good for everybody. That's kind of how this energy works fundamentally. And so this is a time where you're feeling really passionate and driven about all the new things that you're envisioning starting for yourself. And it's the perfect time to set intentions for the year ahead, being that it is the true astrological new year, rather than the time that we do it based on the Gregorian calendar. So, the other thing about Aries energy that you might be feeling around this time is just this sense of pressure and urgency to get up and do something, to take action already. Just super tired of waiting around for things to fix themselves and almost brutally focused on solving the problems that we feel like we've just been pushing up against for way too long. Like we're tired of it, right? We just want to get it over with already, and we're willing at this point to do anything we need to do in order to make it happen. That's what Aries energy is all about. It's a very courageous, confident, self-motivated, self-reliant, problem-solving energy. So that's a moment in time now here where we can really make some headway with some of these things. But we've also got the new moon here conjunct Mercury. So if you see Mercury here at 9 degrees, it's within 2 degrees of this new moon configuration. Well, Mercury in Aries is how we think and how we talk, how we process information, and how we share and communicate with other people. So here, fundamentally, this means we're having a ton of ideas because Aries is that quick spark flame, right? One idea after the other. And I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that, and I'm going to... It could be to the point where you're getting so many ideas about what you want to do in the direction that you want to go in that you don't even get around to doing some of them. You don't finish any of them because you're just so quickly moving with all of these possibilities and just running quick fire in all these different directions. So who knows if anything really even gets finished, because as soon as you start something, you're dropping another thing, right? But this also means that in relationships, we're being a little bit more self-focused. We're more concerned with how we see things, and we're certainly concerned with making sure that our perspective is honored. And that's okay. That's to be expected around this time. But this can be a little bit of a conflict-oriented energy where we're not really seeing eye to eye with the people that we have in our lives. And certainly things can get a little bit heated. We can feel a sense of restlessness and anxiety, maybe an urgency, a subtle pressure that we just carry around with us because ultimately when we have such strong Aries energy, it sort of feels like we're not doing enough. And no matter what we're doing, even though we're seemingly doing a lot, it's never enough. We just have this feeling that we could be doing more. And that can contribute this sense of rush that can make you snap pretty quickly and have a shorter temper. And you're just so tired of the same old issues that when they present to you, especially if they're related to another person in your life, you're really quick to speak your mind. Let's put it that way. And so that can certainly cause some conflict with this energy. And we've also got another really major and important configuration here is the fact that we've got Chiron also within a degree of the moon here. So we've got Mercury, the moon, and the sun next to Chiron. What is Chiron? Chiron is an asteroid that has a ton of research on it in astrology. And it's very important to consider here because Chiron is about an area of deep internalized shame and wounding that we carry around with us. And it's about the past hurts that we continue to carry forward into the future. And so when you have a new moon here, to me, conjunct Chiron, this seems like actually a really positive opportunity to look back into the past and understand the internalized shame that we've been carrying around, the pain and lack of forgiveness that weighs heavy on our hearts. And we can move forward in a way where we're communicating and understanding those things super clearly. So where do we just come from? Well, we just had Pisces season, right? We just had Pisces season and we just had the new moon in Pisces. Pisces energy, especially when Mercury was back here in Pisces, Mercury is at its detriment in Pisces, and it works sort of like when Mercury's in retrograde. The energy is very unclear and confused. Caught up in your head, not sure where you want to go, not sure how you feel about anything. Emotions are running high, and situations that feel problematic in our life, we're so ungrounded about it that we're not even sure how to move forward. We don't know what the best course of action is when we have heavy Pisces energy. Well, now that we've moved in to Aries season here, what we're having is a much more clearly expressed energy. Aries is all about saying what you mean, meaning what you say, and saying it as directly as possible. So problems are easier to define at this point. So although we've got the new moon conjunct Chiron, where we're facing past shame, past trauma, past wounding, things that have hurt us in the past, areas of unforgiveness, problems with other people, and internalized shame that we've received from the outside, we're able to see that problem for what it is in a much more clear way. And from that place, we can solve the problem really effectively. We can come up with solutions. We can move on from waiting to solutioning. Listlessly drowning in our emotions and our pain to problem solving. That's what this new moon is all about. It's kind of like it's a time to just get over your bullshit and do something about it. And I can't think of a more Aries way to say it. Get over your bullshit and do something about it. What are you going to do about it? You have this problem. And actually, extremely deep healing is available to you now, because Chiron is also fundamentally about healing and overcoming these wounds in a way in which we can go on to heal those wounds in other people. So what do you need to say? That's Mercury, right? What do you need to say? Excuse me. What do you need to say Who do you need to say it to? And how can you say it exactly as you mean it? Cut the bullshit and say what you mean. New moon in Aries. What actions do you need to take? What do you need to do? What do you need to start and what do you need to initiate on that you've only been thinking about, that you've only been in your head about? Where is it time to translate those thoughts, right, into action? That's what Aries is all about. And how can you go forward healing that wound that you've been carrying now that you can see it clearly so that you can take a position of aiding other people with that and stop carrying the past into the future? That's what I think this energy is about fundamentally, but there's more going on. So let's get into that. At the same time, we have this configuration over here in Aquarius. We've got a lot of energy going on. Okay, sorry, I'm still figuring out how to use this thing. I didn't like that way that circle turned out, so we're gonna just undo that. Just be messing with my flow. Okay, so we've got this configuration over here in Aquarius. This is a big part of this energy as well because we've got Mars, which is the ruler of Aries, Saturn, which is the great malefic, and Venus, the planet that governs how we feel, our sense of comfort and security in our relationships and in our financial picture. This is a challenging energy, especially because it's also making a square here to the south node and to the north node. Squares are ouch. Squares require action, but they usually manifest as a point of challenge, problem, or crisis. And so what does all of this mean? Well, Mars is the ruler of Aries. Mars is how we take action. It's our willpower, it's our anger, and it's our frustration. It's fighting, it's conflict. Saturn is an energy that's all about doing things in the responsible, traditional, conventional, serious way. It slows things down. It creates hardship. It makes you work for what you want. And Venus, like I said, is about our relationships, love, money, sense of self-worth, self-esteem, and security. So there's certainly a problem that manifests here around this new moon that I think is going to have a lot to do with our relationships or money. And with these two malefic planets in a conjunction here, to me, this is about something that we're finally taking action on, that we're really doing in a way that feels aligned to us, but maybe we've done it too quickly, and so now we have to backtrack and fix it. We were so focused on solving problems, taking action, achieving our dreams that we moved forward way too quickly. We let our impatience get to us, so maybe we were a bit reckless. We let our sense of urgency make us take impulsive action, and now we have a problem that we have to go back and clean up. That's what Saturn can do, right? Saturn can do that. Or maybe this is another situation in which we're being bold, brave, confident, and courageous in our new perspective, Aries energy. We're communicating about it more. We're sharing and standing our ground more. That's what this Aries energy can do. And we're not going to allow anybody to keep cutting into these wounds that we've had for so long. And because of that, maybe we're just a little bit too dominating. And other people are not comfortable, Venus, with what we're taking action on, Mars. And the people who are more concerned with doing things in a traditional, conventional, slow, pragmatic, serious way, people who are concerned with the old ways in which things were, are uncomfortable with the new ways in which we're trying to do things. Because this Mars energy, which is associated with the new moon, is in Aquarius. What is Aquarius about? It's about newness. It's about the future. It's about where we're headed. It's about awakening. It's about innovation. Seeing things with a fresh perspective. Saturn's the opposite of that. Saturn is about the old way, the traditional way, the conventional way, the responsible way, the right way. So there's definitely a conflict here, and it shows up for each of us, something to do with self-esteem, money, or relationships, right? And so that can be one area where we're moving forward at a fast pace, but suddenly we have to stop in our tracks, because ultimately you do need to consider this role of Saturn. How do you integrate this future and the past? How do you integrate choosing yourself and considering and keeping the harmony, Venus, with other people? And it's going to be hard to do here. It's going to be hard to do because we've got these squares, like I said, to the north node and the south node. South node and north node are about our destiny. They're about the lessons that we came to learn here in this incarnation. They're about what we are meant to learn in order to be on our most purposeful, aligned path in this lifetime. The South Node's what we have to let go of. The South Node's about moving outside of our comfort zone, where the North Node is about, where we're supposed to move forward. And so the South Node in Scorpio is saying, fears of vulnerability, issues of power and control with other people, having to have certainty over the outcome, needing to get people to behave in a certain way. We're supposed to be letting those things go around this time, because that's what Scorpio is about. On the other hand, Taurus, we're supposed to be moving towards a sense of persistence and steadfast change. We have to do it slowly, ultimately. So too much Aries energy, too much fire can burn. Too much fire can burn. So there is a real call here at this time to honor both the past and the traditional old way of doing things, while making a future-oriented, self-motivated, self-honoring change for an awakened, authentic, original future that we are trying to create with the choices that we're making in our life right now. Why would you care to do that? Because you want to maintain the longevity of your relationships or your financial security and stability. Taurus, Venus, where we're meant to go over the next year and a half. So that's what that's all about. And we do have some assistance. It's not all bad news, right? Because we've got this harmonious energy here. You can see we've got the trine to the South Node and the sextile to the North Node, between this beautiful, super powerful conjunction between Neptune and Jupiter here in Pisces. This is an energy that hasn't come around since 1856. It's extremely powerful, and I will be making a separate video on this next week. But what this is about is both these planets are at home in the sign of Pisces, meaning their energy is free and clear. And Jupiter is the great benefic. Jupiter wants to bring blessings and opportunity, expansion, growth. And Neptune wants to bring deep healing, deep emotional healing. It wants compassion and oneness among people. It wants us to remember our connection to magic and spirituality and the power of forgiveness, right? So it's about healing ultimately, and I think that really ties into this Chiron energy as well. There is support here to grow and move forward from the past. But what this can do is, even though it's a beneficial energy, Neptune has a tendency to cloud things. Neptune has a tendency to make things feel unclear. Remember when we talked about Mercury being in Pisces, how everything felt confusing last month? We didn't know what was going on, where to go, what was happening, how to solve these problems, what are all these feelings? Can't even think straight, right? Well, Neptune has a tendency to do that, makes things murky. So any conflict that comes up around this time where, you feel like you're wasting your time, you're not doing enough, you've acted impulsively, now you have to go back and clean up, you've ruffled people's feathers, and now there's fighting and conflict in your relationships, whatever is coming up for you right now. It is actually leading you towards an opportunity that is so beneficial for you that you can't even imagine, right? Because this energy, like I said, this conjunction here hasn't happened since oh my God, look how ugly that is. We're going to redo it. That energy hasn't happened since 1856. 1856, this specific conjunction. Super, super, super beneficial energy. We'll talk all about it. But you can't see it yet. Neptune makes it so that you can't see it yet. You can't see what's happening yet. The future isn't totally obvious yet. You just know that you really want to take action toward it, and you're feeling more motivated than ever before to just hurry up and do something about it already, because you want to get there now. You want to get there now. You don't even really know where there is. You just have this dream about it. This dreamy sort of fantasy vision of what it would look like. And you're ready to just do what you need to do to make that a reality, and other people are not. Or the money isn't catching up. Or you moved a little bit too quickly, and now you have to go back and honor the right way to do things, the responsible way to do things. So yeah. I think that's what I have to say about this energy here. before we get into the 12 sign forecast. So I'm going to take a break and then we'll get into all 12 signs, talk about where this energy specifically manifests for you. So we'll start off with Aries in just a minute. Alrighty, so for Aries, this is a new moon in your sign. It begins a whole new cycle that covers the entire next year for you and how you show up in the world. This energy has you considering what you will and will not agree to, past versions of yourself that were built around shame and wounds and fears, and ideas and limiting beliefs that you accepted from other people that you're now identifying you no longer want to accept. And so you are making different agreements, trying to communicate differently and show up in a way that prioritizes your own perspective while still being considerate of other people. Because with the North Node in Taurus, this entire year and a half for you, you are focusing on building up your self-esteem, your sense of self-worth, and also on becoming more prosperous and growing your financial success. And as you point yourself towards those aims and objectives, you're considering who you are and the things about you that you want to shed and let go of, and the version of yourself that you want to really start driving toward in this next year. And this is really supported by the Jupiter and Neptune conjunction in your 12th house. And the 12th house is all about the hidden behind the scenes inner work that you're doing to heal. And the 12th house also has to do with loss and grief. And so if you have dealt with any of that over the past year, this can be a period of time in which you begin to experience deeper healing around those things. This can be a period of deep connection with your spirituality and communion with God so that you can understand what goes on in your subconscious patterns. This is also a period of time in which you can really get some assistance and support from the energy to let go of and clear of any old addictive or self-sabotaging behaviors. And this is all the things that are on your mind right now as you move forward with this new moon in your sign, hoping to rebirth a newer, brighter, better version of yourself that helps you achieve your potential. Now, where the trouble could come in, where the conflict could come in, has to do with your 11th house. And that's where you have the Mars, Saturn, and Venus conjunction square to the lunar nodes. The 11th house is all about your social networks, the groups and people that you involve yourself with. And it's also about rewards and recognition for the efforts that you have out in the world. And it's also kind of like your long-term 5 to 10 year plan. So what could all of this mean? Well, it might mean that there is some conflict in your social circles. It could mean that there is maybe an issue around money or self-esteem that comes out when you're with friends or with the groups that you participate in, the clubs that you're a part of. It could also be right now at this time that you were maybe expecting to receive some kind of recognition and come to find that you're really not getting the praise that you would have expected, and that's going to motivate you to move into a new direction. There could be some kind of conflict here with your social circles in that sense, people-oriented conflict over money, self-esteem, things of value, what you value, and how you show up to serve a group at large. How do you prioritize what you want and what other people need of you, right? That's where the conflict can come in with this energy. But overall, it is a supportive time period where you can really sit down and seed your intentions for how do you want to be a year from today? And what things do you want to master in yourself to get there? Alrighty, so for Taurus, the new moon energy is happening in your 12th house. This is the house of rest and separation in space from work and the outside world. This is the house of spirituality and the subconscious mind. And for me, what this energy really tells me, being that you've got Mercury and you've got Aries energy in the 12th house, is that you're somebody who struggles to rest. You're somebody who never feels like you've done enough. You're somebody who's always got more to do. And even if you are resting, the mind is still running. There's still an internalized pressure that comes from maybe ideas or beliefs that you accepted from the outside world about where you can get your value from or how you should show up in the world, and what you receive love and praise for. And if that is tied to achievement, if that is tied to what you accomplish out in the world, there can be this deep internalized pressure that you're taking a clear look at now that is constantly motivating you to do. And even when you are doing, you might have the sense as though you've really never even done or accomplished enough, right? And so this energy is all about learning how to rest, learning about the spiritual practices that you can really start up around this time to help support you in achieving a deeper sense of rest and understanding and knowing on a deep intuitive level that finding a way to connect to your spirituality and to your inner peace and your rest into a more meditative state is going to be a crucial component of moving in the direction that you want to for your long-term 5 to 10 year plan. And with the Jupiter and Neptune conjunction in your 11th house, you have to trust that the network and the people around you are going to be there to pick up the pieces, and that you don't have to do everything, and that you can let go of some of the control in that way. Now, where this energy can get a bit dicey is with the Mars, Saturn, and Venus conjunction happening in your 10th house of career. This could be some information getting revealed that comes out in a public sense that changes the way that you are seen among groups of people. Ultimately, if this feels dicey at first, I think it's going to end up in a positive way, but this could also be kind of a conflict or disagreement with your boss or people at work, people you look up to or figures of authority. This could be an energy where you are didn't get the promotion that you were thinking you were, or the role hasn't turned out in the way that you want it to, or you're trying to switch jobs and it's taking longer than you want it to, and you're just constantly pushing against this pressure that makes you feel like you can't rest or take time off. And what you have to know around this time is you've got to choose yourself. You've got to be able to prioritize what you need and not worry about it coming off as selfish, and then also take a look at, if that's you, where is that belief coming from? Because that's that Chiron energy. If it feels selfish to meet your own needs, that wound is coming up for healing, and you can teach and demonstrate to other people how to do that in an effective way, and trust that it is actually going to serve your long-term career goals and help you to show up in the way that you desire. So for Gemini, the new moon in Aries is in your 11th house. This is a period of time that starts a cycle where you're really starting to connect with and reach more people. Find the right friends, find the right social circles, connect with the right people on social media. That's what this energy is all about. And the Jupiter-Neptune conjunction is happening in your 10th house of career. This beautiful, beneficial, harmonious energy is something that is really supporting you to move in the direction of your dreams for your long-term career and the vision for your life. But there's something about it that's unclear and murky at this time. You just have to trust that the direction that you're headed, although it's not exactly super clear, is something that benefits you, and you're going to be able to achieve what you set your mind out to. But where the conflict can come at this time is in your 9th house with the conjunction of Venus, Mars, and Saturn. And the 9th house is about issues of lawsuits, issues in education or teaching, conflicts of morals, ethics, and beliefs, or religion, or trouble or issues with travel or foreign travel visas, arrangements of that nature. Any of those things can get highlighted now where you're starting to find conflict. So maybe the direction you're headed with your goals or for your career is causing you to say some things in a very clear and direct way that other people could find abrasive, or have a conflict of belief systems there, where you're going to have to take a step back and analyze, how can you move in the direction that you know is aligned and true for you with your career and your emotional healing and your health and the work that you want to do out in the world, while still honoring the traditions of the past, and stay true to yourself in a way that is respectful of what other people think and believe, and really make sure that the approach that you're moving in is treated with care and a philosophy that is going to serve you, not just today, but in the very long term. And it can be easy to get temperamental, angry, really strong emotions, passion coming up. But because these things feel really important to you, whatever the conflict is striking a chord that's about something that you really, really believe very deeply. And so it can be easy to get very heated around this time, and you have to consider the long-term harmony of your relationships and move forward in a way that is going to be supportive overall. So for Cancer, the new moon for you is happening in your 10th house of career, public reputation, and identity outside in the world. This is an energy that has you driving towards and initiating on something new that you want to begin and start moving in the direction of for what you do out in the world. So this could be stepping into a management role, getting a new manager, moving in a new direction with your career entirely, getting a different job. It could be deciding that you want to do something entirely different that you've been doing before. But there is a wound here that you're facing where you're starting to understand why you've limited yourself before and what you can do moving forward to achieve what you want to achieve out in the world in a way that feels true and aligned for you. And part of this is really beneficial because you've got that Jupiter and Neptune conjunction happening in your ninth house that's helping you to broaden your perspective and have a more optimistic view of what could be in store for you. So even if the past has been really challenging, the energy now is infusing you with more hope and a deeper connection with the spirit that can help you move forward. In a literal sense, this could quite mean that you need to go back to school, or that you want to go back to school, or that you're trying to do something out in the world related to education. That could be one of the possible manifestations of this energy. It could also be about incorporating something related to travel, or maybe you discover these things while you're on a trip. That's that Jupiter and Neptune conjunction. Or wanting to work with foreign cultures or a diverse group of people. That could be part of what's happening here with this energy. But ultimately, the conflict where the sticking point is going to come up is with that Mars, Saturn, Venus conjunction, which is happening in your 8th house. The 8th house is a lot of things, but ultimately the 8th house is about issues of joint finances and debt and investments. So maybe it's like you want to go back to school, but you don't know how you're going to arrange the money for it because you've got debt over here or this agreement with this other person and you have to figure out how to finance it. This could also be an issue where you come into some money and you have to figure out what to do with it and how to invest it in a future that feels more aligned for you. But the 8th house is also issues of our core wounds and our traumas and the things that we fear most in life. It's taboo topics, so maybe you're taking an interest in more occult topics, trying to heal sexual trauma or shame. This could also be anything to do with issues of emotional abuse and manipulation that you faced in the past that have caused you to really stifle yourself and what you want to achieve out in the world. And so you're facing those things, and conflict can come up in that area now where you're really going to have to look at it and say, okay, how do I heal this and move into a space of greater joy? How do I move this and think about how I'm going to actually create not just something that works for now, for how I make money and what I do out in the world, but something that's going to work in the long-term future, because the North Node in Taurus is in your 11th house, and that's going to be directing you over the next year and a half to be focusing on what will sustain you in a joyous and authentic way for the long term, for the future. So that's what that's all about for you, Cancer. So for Leo, this new moon Aries energy is happening in your 9th house. The 9th house is the house of education, higher studies and learning. It is the house of teaching and connection with teachers and people you admire in that way. And it's also the house of your beliefs and perspectives and ideologies that you have about how the world works and where we can derive meaning from in our lives. So, for many Leos, I think at this time you'll be identifying choices you've made about what kind of education you've gotten, or what you're learning or studying, whether or not that actually feels aligned to you, and if it was motivated out of what you think other people expect out of you, and then moving forward in a way that feels much more honest and clear to you. And you'll actually have the support, I think, financially to move in the direction that you want to, whether it's a new course of study, new school, a new trip abroad, or perhaps it's a complete and total switch of religion. That could also be something that's happening out here. Maybe you've understood that the beliefs that were given to you were, limiting in a certain sense and caused you to feel a lot of shame, and you're breaking out of that mold now to heal those past wounds and find a sense of spirituality that feels much more aligned to you. That could be another thing that's happening here. And the Jupiter-Neptune conjunction in the 8th house is an indication that you're going to have the support, both emotional and financial, to move in the direction that you need, because that's a healing energy. So Jupiter and Neptune in the 8th house says to me that you're really going to be able to experience a deep inner transformation by diving into these topics that other people told you shouldn't and that it wasn't okay. And as you step into more of your empowerment in that way, courageously, you're going to be able to shed some of those long-held fears. And this could also mean that if you're trying to move into a new direction, either getting a visa to another country, or you're trying to go to a new school or change course of study, that the financial support is going to be there as well. But the conflict can come from your close personal one-on-one relationships, because you've got that Venus, Mars, and Saturn conjunction happening in the 7th house. So this can be about some conflict around agreements that you have to make with other people to make it happen. So if you've got any contracts that need renegotiation, if you're going to maybe find some disagreements with your partner, or even with a best friend, business partner, or marriage, those things can come up right now where you might not be seeing eye to eye, and you have to be careful to not just move forward in a way that is manipulative. That could be something that's happening right now. You want to make sure that you are being clear and prioritizing your own needs and desires without while still preserving the long-term harmony of the relationships that are most important to you. Alrighty, for Virgo, this new moon in Aries energy is happening in your 8th house. The 8th house means a lot of things, but ultimately the 8th house is about support that we receive from the outside. So this could be everything from financial support, investments, debt, joint finances with a partner, to the emotional support that you get, right? It's about the healing of your fears and a place to express your desires and your vulnerability and find intimacy with another person. So when you've got a new moon energy here in Aries, this is really all about taking a moment to reflect upon all of the ways in which you're constantly pressuring yourself to show up in service of other people instead of being open to receiving assistance, right? And identifying the ways in which maybe there might be an undue pressure that you put on yourself because of limiting beliefs or ways that people have failed you in the past. You have to look at the past and really consider where you've been shaming yourself, bullying yourself into being a certain way, where you guilt yourself into constantly showing up for other people to the detriment of yourself, right? I think this new moon energy is really about stepping forward in a way that prioritizes self a little bit more, and maybe consider why you might think it's so selfish to do that, and that it's okay to choose yourself in a certain way here. You've got that Jupiter-Neptune conjunction happening in your 7th house, and a lot of things could be happening here. It might be that you are embarking on a new journey to invest in something important to you, to clear and resolve debt, and you have to do it with another person. You have to renegotiate a contract or an agreement with another person. Or this might mean that you're trying to find more stability and healing and create a circumstance that feels much more hopeful to you with a marriage partner. But you've got that conflict coming up in the 6th house. So the Venus, Saturn, and Mars conjunction is happening in your 6th house, which is the house of health, well-being, and work routines, and the way that you spend your time and the work that you do. So there could be something coming up here where, you have to understand that if you are constantly draining your battery at both ends, your health will suffer, right? And so you might be motivated now to choose yourself and prioritize your own well-being, and that could create some conflict maybe at work with your colleagues, because you're going to be showing up differently, speaking your mind a little bit more, and asking for what you need, and that could ruffle some feathers if people aren't used to you showing up in that way. Or you might have a lot of work on your plate at this time, and it might illuminate the fact that you are needing some more assistance from your partner at home. All of those things are possible right now with this energy, but ultimately I think that this is a really beneficial time for starting a new cycle of choosing you a little bit more, Virgo, so that you have enough energy to be there for those you love. So for Libra, this energy is in your 7th house. The new moon's happening in your 7th house of your most important relationships and agreements that you make with other people. So this is all about initiating and embarking on a new journey in partnership with another person. If you're already partnered, this could be about healing past core wounds and traumas that have happened between the two of you, resolving shame, and communicating in a way that is much more authentic, clear, and direct about what you need and what the other person needs, so that you can find a better balance in partnership. But this could also be a period in time where if you're single, you could be inviting a new meaningful relationship into your life and really initiating on a new path together with someone else. ultimately, this is going to be a period of time where you are going to focus more on how to show up in a balanced way with someone else. And it has the really powerful potential to heal a lot of wounds that have happened in the past with previous relationships. So this is ultimately a really beneficial energy. And you've got that Neptune and Jupiter conjunction happening in your 6th house, which tells me that you are going to cultivate and develop a new routine with your time that feels really nourishing to you, doing more work that you enjoy, and seeing improvements in your health along the way. Now, where the conflict could happen is in your 5th house. This is with the Venus, Mars, and Saturn conjunction there in that 5th house, Aquarius. This is not as bad as it is for other signs because it makes a trine to your ascendant, sun, or moon. So really, this isn't quite as dicey, but what it could mean is that, well, there could be some feathers ruffled around topics of sex, children, romance, and dating. Or what you like to do and what you're interested in, passion projects that you have. It could upset people and cause some conflict in relationships, or you might find that the direction that you're headed in a relationship, perhaps you're like planning a wedding and it's going to cost all this money, and now you have to figure out how you can sustain what you want to do in the long term like that. This could just be conflicts of that nature: love, romance, sex, children, entrepreneurship, or things that you enjoy just because you enjoy them. Anytime you come together with a new person, there's going to be a moment of having to be very clear about what it is that's authentic and true to you and what you enjoy, and you might discover that there are some ways in which you're not seeing eye to eye with other people. So that could come up around this time, but ultimately I think this will blow over more smoothly for Libra. Alrighty, so for Scorpio, this new moon energy is happening in your 6th house, and this is a powerful time of initiating on exactly the type of routine and daily schedule that's supportive to you and the work you want to do and your health. You are starting all types of new routines, and really, this could also be starting new projects and collaborating with people in new ways. And you've got that Jupiter and Neptune conjunction happening in your 5th house, and it's making some positive harmonious aspects to the North and South node in your 1st and 7th house. What is this telling me? To me, a lot of Scorpios are embarking on a journey with business or entrepreneurship or their passion projects. And this is a really beneficial time for getting everything in order and having a lot of abundance and opportunities come to you through that way. Or it could be finding more romantic connections that feel more authentic, or just more hobbies and ways that you like to spend your time that feel really true to you, and you're incorporating them into your daily routine. Now, whatever you're trying to start or initiate here with work could feel problematic because of the Mars, Saturn, and Venus conjunction happening in your 4th house. Really, I think whatever you're trying to do here is something that feels so much better to you, and it's something that you really want and desire, but perhaps it's just feeling like it's taking way too long to get to a place of security and stability with it. Maybe you're trying to turn a passion into a business. Maybe you're trying to do something creative in a way that is financially lucrative so that you can have a stable home and family life. There could be conflict with your health, that maybe choices you're making, you fight with family. Some of those things could come up around this time, right? Conflict with the idea of home, family, and your sense of security. Usually when we have that Aries energy, it's like we're just so impatient and we want to get to that end goal place so fast that we just could pop our heads off about how much we're trying to force things. So that's where I think the sticking point of this energy could come, where you're going to have to still remember and hold on to the truth that these things take a long time. And because of Saturn's influence, it might be taking longer than you think or expect it would. And so what you have to do is curb a sense of impatience and rush that could have you speaking out of turn or getting into conflict with relationships, or being impulsive with your money just because you want to just get there as fast as you can, and you want to try to honor the fact that you want to do it in the right and responsible way for the long term. Alrighty, for Sagittarius, the new moon for you is happening in your 5th house. This is a beautiful energy because it makes a trine to your ascendant, sun, or moon. So you've got some extra support there from that harmonious aspect. A new moon in Aries in the 5th house is all about embarking and initiating a new journey related to your creativity, your passion projects, or it could be a new journey in romance and dating and sex. This could be a period of time in which you're really starting to heal past traumas or shame that you've carried, limiting beliefs that you've absorbed from other people that keep you away from your authenticity and what's true for you and what you like to do and how you like to spend your time, what you like to create, businesses that you run and how you like to run them, people you like to date and why, how you like to engage in romance and sex or relationships to children, right? Because that's another 5th house energy too. So, you're really starting to communicate more clearly and directly in this time in those areas and heal the past ways that you've just really stifled your creative life force around this time. So this is a beneficial energy, and you've also got that Neptune-Jupiter conjunction happening in your 4th house. I really see this as deeply supportive for the transformation and healing of ancestral patterns. I love that for you. And this is also a time on the material plane in which you're starting to feel more grounded and secure and safe in yourself and in your home. It could also be about moving or renovating or just getting creative in your home space. Now, where the trouble could come is with the Venus, Saturn, and Mars conjunction in your 3rd house. Now, maybe projects you're working on or ways in which you've communicated in your community have ruffled some feathers or caught people off guard or caused some conflict, right? You might have felt so excited, right, Aries, so excited and enthusiastic about speaking your truth and being direct and saying things plain as day and getting the message out there or doing whatever it is that you're doing out there in life because it feels so healing and true to you, that you might have been a little impulsive, quick to react, or maybe stepped on some people's toes or didn't really move forward in a way that expressed as much consideration for maybe the traditional or old way of doing things. Could have slowed you down. It could cause you to have to redo some things, and it could cause some conflict with your siblings or your community. Those are things that could come up right now. This could also be some type of conflict energy with a car where something, literally, I'm a Sagittarius sun and I bought a car at the last moon because this is so complicated. Gemini had moon energy in the 3rd house recently that caused me to have to buy a car. And now, because of the new moon in Aries having this stellium of challenging malefic planets in the 3rd house of vehicles, the car is delayed 2 weeks. That's another very literal way that this could play out. But anyway, there's some type of conflict here related to money, finances, purchases, possessions, or relationships. And it could come as the result of you just doing what you want to do because you were excited to do it and doing it quickly, and come to find that things are slowing you down, right? So that's part of what this energy is about, but you just have to trust that you are headed in the right direction so long as you pay credence toward doing things in a responsible and ethical way. So for Capricorn, the new moon in Aries is happening in your 4th house. The 4th house is the house of home, family, property, your ancestry and lineage. And it's also the house of just generally feeling secure and stable in your life. It's about what you need in order to feel comfortable in that way. You've got the North Node in your 5th house here. And to me, this tells me that you are really focused this next year and a half around creating a life that is filled with more joy, creativity, fun, pleasure, romance, exploration, and just doing things for you because you want to do them. Or for some Caps, this is about businesses and entrepreneurship that you're getting creative on and really trying to start up because it's important to you to move into a direction that feels more authentic. So, to me, this is connected to this new moon energy in your 4th house because it's causing you to consider what kind of environment is very supportive for those things. What do you want out of where you live? What do you want your family environment to look like? You might be starting a new journey now where you're moving in with someone else, or you're moving location, or you are driven and motivated to move to a place that's closer to your children and you're trying to figure out what you want, or you need to move in a place that's more supportive to business or your passions and what you like to do with your time. So those are things that you're thinking about now, and you're trying to problem solve about how you're going to get there. And ultimately, where the sticking point could be is actually with the Venus, Saturn, and Mars conjunction in your 2nd house. 2nd house has to do with finances, so this could be the feeling that you don't have enough, or you're never going to have enough, the feeling that that the money that you need to do what you have intentions to do isn't coming fast enough. This could be the energy where you're having to work out financial plans and business plans with much more attention and time than you wanted to, and go back and redo things because you originally were too impulsive or quick to act, and now you've got to change plans around. And this could also be about having slow healing related to your self-esteem that you're really working through here in order to put yourself out there more in an environment that could make you feel more stable and secure with the people that you spend your time around and the things that you like to do. So there could be the feeling like, why am I still dealing with these same old issues, right? So that's what I really see here with the new moon in Aries. But ultimately, I think that this kicks off a new cycle for you over the next year where you're really going to be focusing and honing in on making your home environment something that feels really nurturing to you. Alrighty, so for Aquarius, the new moon in Aries is happening in your third house. Really what I think is going on here is that you've spent the entirety of the past, year and a half really focused on tearing down everything old about your life and rebuilding it anew, right? You faced some challenges, you've taken on a lot of responsibility, and you've committed yourself towards moving in a path that is going to sustain you in the long term, right? And you're really trying to move in a direction that feels really secure for you in that way. And so now that you've gotten some headway in that direction and you're feeling like you've got a lot of energy to keep moving forward, the new moon in Aries is about opening you up to new possibilities of skills that you might want to learn, things that you might want to study, courses you want to take, trips you want to go to, places that you want to be, how you're going to get there. For some Aquarius, this might be a time of getting a new car, but this is also, I think, ultimately about healing some of the things and ideologies and mindsets that you've had in the past that have kept you kind of stuck in your ways, and adopting a more curious approach. Because sometimes what can happen is you get a little dogmatic, you get a little rooted in your way of seeing things, and now you're beginning to sort of open up to new perspectives. And that's what the third house is all about. It's about finding humor in life, stop taking it so seriously, learn new things, and teach an old dog new tricks, really. That's what I think this energy is about. And I think it's a positive time for you where you can really build your sense of self-esteem and self-worth. And ultimately, that could translate to a lot of financial opportunities for you at this time due to the Jupiter and Neptune conjunction in your second house. So for Pisces, the new moon for you is happening in your second house. This is a beautiful and auspicious time to start something new and begin a new chapter having to do with what you value and how you value yourself. This is about your self-esteem, your self-worth, your confidence, and showing up in a way that is fully authentic and confident. You know, I really like this energy for you ultimately because it's also about embarking on a new journey for how you make money. It's a new chapter to your finances and prosperity where you can really initiate new things. And this might have to do with communication, projects like that, where you're sharing your voice more in a more clear and honest way. And so, you know, this is going to be a really beneficial time that helps you move into that direction. And Jupiter and Neptune in your sign this year is just a fantastic time for growth and opportunity for your whole sense of self and what you dream for your life. And so you'll be achieving a lot of healing. But as you know, you've been just emerging out of a period of kind of deep solitude and reflection and really facing your shadow self and your self-sabotage and your bad habits and addictions or patterns that you're just trying to break through. And some of those things could get triggered around this time now. You might find conflict in that area of your life just a little bit because that Venus, Saturn, and Mars conjunction is really active in your 12th house. And so that energy says to me that you might have some resurfacing of issues there, where really the lesson that you need to remember to alchemize is to surrender, 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 surrender. If you can do that, you're going to move more quickly back into a state of harmony. You'll preserve your relationships. And if it's a situation where, you know, things were said and they rub you the wrong way and they trigger you, or you find yourself slipping into some old mindsets again, old fears re-emerging, just remember to surrender, surrender, surrender. It will pass. It's not forever. And you are moving into a fated new direction where you'll be learning and expanding and connecting with community in a new way. So this is a beautiful, beneficial energy where you're starting to get some clarity about your past journey with your sense of self-worth, and those things are improving now as you step forward with zeal and enthusiasm for how you can live a more prosperous life. Alrighty, so I think that's all I got for you with the new moon in Aries. I'm pretty excited about this energy, and I hope that you enjoy it. It's not all good and it's not all bad, right? But it is a new chapter nonetheless that sets the tone for the whole year. I will be setting my yearly intentions on the new moon this Friday, so I hope that you will take advantage of this energy and do the same. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one with energy. Sarah.